As always, Trump is threatening Armageddon, and Trump vows a final battle against his enemies. The message to his followers could hardly be clearer. Now, on Saturday, Donald Trump held his first major Klan rally of the 2024 squatting campaign in Waco, Texas. He is a master showman whose basically only gift is grifting, um, and basically understanding and fulfilling his sycophants' dreams, needs, and fantasies, and their belief in their inherent greatness and destiny, which there's nothing great about any inbred Trump supporters. Um, in so many ways, Trump is their preacher, their failed preacher, their failed teacher, their failed father figure, their failed confidant, their failed priest, and failed lover, who's all embodied into one person. Now, considered in this light, his Waco performance was a major disappointment, but it did not disappoint them. Now, Trump's plane flew in over the crowd as the song Danger Zone from the film Top Gun was played over the loudspeakers, and a supposedly Christian speed painter completed a huge picture of the failed former squatter. The 15,000 Trump sycophants erupted in applause, and that their Satanists had returned. The adulation in Waco is about what Donald Trump represents to his sycophants and the energy that he channels. It's not politics or policy or ideology in the normal sense of those words, but it's still less is it about facts or reality, which the mainstream news media and political class still obsesses over as if such things offered any leverage for the understanding in the age of Trump. Now, Trump's dark charisma is a force that is unequaled in American history. When Trump finally spoke to the maggot faithful, he delivered a vintage broadside of threats, lies, racism, conspiracy theory, and rage. It was literally worthy of Adolf Hitler still declaring war. You will be vindicated and proud, he told his sycophants. The thugs and criminals who are corrupting our justice system will be defeated. Yeah, you are a criminal, Trump, but yes, you will be defeated, and you will be totally disgraced for your crimes. Now, Trump insists that he's innocent of any wrongdoing, which he's lying about because Trump is not innocent at all. And he attacked the Manhattan District Attorney who was leading the investigation into his hush money payments to former porn star Stormy Daniels. Now, Trump escalated his threats in language that channeled the Klan insurrection that he incited on January 6th, saying that his enemies are desperate to stop us, and our opponents have done everything they can to crush our spirit and break our will, which they will. Now, Trump continued with his threats of total war and vengeful destruction, but of course, his threats have failed. And of course, we did not make Trump any stronger. In 2024 is the final battle, and it's going to be the big one. We're not going to put you back in the White House, and your reign will be over. And America is already a free nation already, because you're not squatted in the White House right now. Now, perhaps the most disturbing part of Trump's performance came when he administered what sounded like a fascist invocation or loyalty oath to his sycophants. That came with the song Justice for All, played shortly after he landed at the Waco Regional Airport. As the Waco Tribune-Herald described it, the song features Trump reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, interspersed with a group of people jailed for their roles on the deadly January 6th Klan attack on the U.S. Capitol, singing part of the national anthem. The message that they painted is clear. They think Donald Trump is like a ruler in exile, and his sycophants, especially the January 6th the Klan terrorists, they paint them as patriots engaged in a righteous struggle when they're in fact traitors. In another place or time, that moment would correctly be identified as a threat to civil war or insurgency by a deposed leader, and one who already attempted a Klan attack and was allowed to escape unpunished, and is now raising an army to conquer this new government. Historian Nicole Hemmer, author of Partisans, the Conservative Revolutionaries who remade American politics in the 1990s, provided this context through email. Though Trump did not mention the federal siege in Waco 30 years ago at his Klan rally, his decision to hold that Klan rally of his 2024 squatter campaign, basically there it hung over a speech whose main theme was vengeance. It opened with the song from those imprisoned for their role in the Klan attack on the Capitol on January 6th of 2021. Now, those people Trump claims were falsely imprisoned, which they were not. They were imprisoned because they were traitors. The right-wing media figures like the racist piece of shit Tucker Carlson and Fat Fuck Jones have insisted that these are political prisoners, which they are prisoners, but they're not political prisoners. Part of the right's growing martyrdom methodology around the Klan attack on January 6th, which has at its center Ashley Babbitt, whom Trump has called a patriot, even though she was a traitor, and she was murdered during the yes, she was murdered by police because she was told to stop, and she did not. As the song, which features Trump's voice reciting the pledge, played, images from the attack on the Capitol played in the background. Trump later intoned to the crowd that he was their warrior, their justice, their retribution, which he's neither of those things. Now, this is dark stuff. It shows how the paranoia and the conspiracism that incubates in right-wing media continues to be a cornerstone of Trump's politics. It takes on an even darker tone given the site of the Klan rally. The siege at Waco has become a cornerstone of far-right mythology over the past 3 decades, and it's become fodder for conspiracy theories, militia organizing, and terroristic violence, including the bombing at the Oklahoma City 2 years later that killed 168 people. This was basically after the Waco thing. The right-wing politicians have used these events before in the 1990s, and a handful of members of Congress had close ties with militias, and members like Helen Chenoweth of Idaho, who made the siege at Ruby Ridge back in 1992 part of her political appeal, along with black helicopters and warnings that the United Nations was planning to take over America's national parks. The ties to violent events did not hurt Chenoweth's standing in the Republican Party, and Trump's choice of Waco will not hurt his. But it is still a dangerous move, and Trump did not need to invoke the siege to provide more fodder for that far-right lore, and his decision to hold that Klan rally at Waco makes clear that he sees a blend of conspiracy, violence, and vengeance as a key to his re-election campaign. As with his previous rhetoric of American carnage, Donald Trump's theme of a final battle against enemies that will make America a free nation again directly channels neo-fascists, white supremacists, and other members of the global right to see themselves engaged in an existential struggle against multiracial democracy, pluralism, and wokeness. And for them, this is a zero-sum winner-take-all battle for dominance with no quarter given to their enemies. Alan Jenkins, who's a Harvard Law professor and writer of the January 6th Klan attack, also known as the graphic novel, had cautioned that while everyone in America has the right peacefully to assemble and especially to protest government actions with which they disagree, it's also true that context, no matter depending on the context you put it in, the context is also going to matter. The Waco site and Trump's inflammatory words are part of that context. The recent history of the violent and seditious insurrection area as well. The former squatters' call to action occurs, moreover, at a time when political violence is on the rise, and it's highlighted by the apparent politically motivated attack on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. The University of Chicago Project on Security and Threats Fund that they found that between 15 million and 20 million American adults agree that the use of force is justified to restore Trump to the squatting, and that well over 50 million agree that Joe Biden stole the 2020 election, and they believe that Joe Biden is an illegitimate president. Now, they have it asked backwards. Trump stole the 2016 election, and he tried to steal 2020. Joe Biden rightfully won 2020, and Trump tried to overturn it because the pussy-ass bitch couldn't accept the fact that he fucking lost. And whatever Donald Trump's political prospects, it's clear that Trump is imposed as a continuing threat to our democracy. Apocalyptic rhetoric by the former squatter who triggered a violent Klan insurrection in 2021 cannot be taken as mere political theater in 2023. Now, none of the conditions that led to the Klan insurrection have gone away, and some, like anti-Semitism and political violence, have increased. It's important for everyday Americans to understand the threat to American values that continue to loom large. Now, Trump's Waco Klan rally appears to have been peaceful, and which is kind of surprising because, with those inbred Trump sycophants, they cause violence everywhere they go. But we ignore its underlying message at our peril. Fundamental democratic values remain at risk, and it's all up to all of us to defend it. As it was talked about in an earlier essay for Salon, Donald Trump's end times threats represent a much larger strategy by the larger Republican Fascist Party and the conservative movement. Now, ultimately, the Republican fascists and the conservative movements' Armageddon politics are inherently anti-democratic because it is based on constant fear and terror, which in turn makes contemplation, reason, communication, and consensus building to address common problems and shared concerns based on truth and empirical reality all impossible. America's democracy crisis can only escalate because the Republicans see destruction and violence in a political and perhaps even literal apocalypse as integral to their plan to get and keep power by any means necessary, which this is why we need to kick them out. And what kind of people continue to support Trump and his neo-fascist cult movement? What the fuck are their values, because they don't have any? And who would be drawn into the orbit of such an obviously demented and violent person, a man who has shown himself to be a sociopath? It's an honest and reasonable question. Even after attempting a clan attack and committing acts of democide through his woefully negligent response to the COVID pandemic, Trump still commands the loyalty of tens of millions of people and controls the Republican Party. He wants you to show him loyalty in return when he does not show loyalty. He wants you to give him loyalty when he does not show any in return. Trump will throw you under the fucking bus if it means defending his own ass. If the 2024 election were held today, the outcome between Trump and Joe Biden would be too close to call. What does this say about who we are as a people and our national character? In the end, whatever becomes of Donald Trump himself, his movement and what it represents will continue to metastasize, representing the worst elements of American culture. Until and unless America has a reckoning with its own character, history, and most deeply rooted problems, none of this will get any fucking better. Waco, like January 6th, will look just like a prelude to the longer story of America's decline. And to stop the metaphorical bleeding, Donald Trump needs to be indicted, convicted, and sent to prison. Unfortunately, no part of that outcome is guaranteed or even likely. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. You can go ahead and leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a little as a few bucks, a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.